What's up, guys? This is Vince here on NSP Fantasy Talk on Saturdays. It's going to be me alone for the time being right now, unless one of the guys gets on. But I just want to talk about week 9 and going into the main slate tomorrow, starting at 12. There's no more of those 8:30 games coming in this week, so we don't have to worry about waking up super early and getting our lineups ready. But there is some news, week 9 is not a week where stuff is dying down. Injuries are aplenty. And I just want to talk about a few of them. We got Jonathan Taylor out. It's been an up and down season with him. I personally traded him because I did not think that he was the guy after a few weeks of having him, after those injuries and after those poor performances. But a guy who is on the Colts who is worth something at the running back position, his name is Deion Jackson. He's going to be the starter this week. I project him to get about the range of 15 to 20 points. I don't see anything going higher than that, in my opinion. But if the Colts do end up popping off, it's a possibility that he could get a lot more points. So he's a guy to start, especially if you're in a fantasy league right now where one of those 6 teams is a team that has your running back in your lineup. So other than that, we'll go on to the next guy who's going to, of course, be running the ball and being the same running back that he's been all season every time he's been in the game. I'm talking about D'Onta Foreman, because Chuba Hubbard is considered out again already. They considered him out as of Friday. So coming into Saturday right now, Saturday afternoon or evening, wherever you are stationed in the U.S. or around the world, since we do have people who are watching from Germany. Chuba Hubbard is out. So D'Onta Foreman is going to be the man again. He's been the man for the past, 2-3 weeks since CMC got traded over there to the 49ers, which AJ I know is super excited about. He's done very well in the first 2 weeks that he's been there. But D'Onta Foreman, again, is just going to be the guy. If you have him in your lineup, if you were smart enough to pick him up when CMC got traded, or if you had him stashed, if you were that smart to have him stashed since the beginning of the season, I, for one, had him stashed in the beginning of the season, but he was not a big factor for me, so I ended up dropping him. But I picked him back up. But the next guy who is hopefully going to play, I have him in 2 fantasy leagues. His name is Allen Lazard. He plays for the Packers. Now, I know Reed has always been talking about it on Not So Pro Packer Talk. The Green Bay Packers are not that great right now. And sorry, again, Reed, if you are watching or if you are going to tune in later. But the Packers are not the best right now. But here's the thing. Allen Lazard, every time he plays, he's at least getting 12 to 13 points. And I believe his ceiling right now I think it goes week 4, week 5, he had 17 points. But let me get to this question real fast. It says 10-man PPR. Again, Swavy JP, welcome to the channel. I know it's just me right now, but I'm going to give you the best advice because Reed and AJ are not able to make it today as of now. But you're 10-6. You're 10-man PPR. You're 6-2. You have 2 offers. Let's see. So you got Lamar and Etienne for Josh Allen, Olave, Najee. Okay, so that's a decent one. Josh Allen is amazing, and right now I believe he is the number 2 quarterback, or he might be the number 3, just depending on your league. Thank you, man. He just said that he's subbed right now, so we appreciate that on this channel. Go ahead and look for our TikTok as well. We are all of our ats and usernames are down there. TikTok at NSP Football Talk. We got some funny content. I know AJ has posted a lot of it, but Reed is also going to do a video soon because he got 5 likes on his last video. So make sure you look for that as well. But let's get back to your question here. Again, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it. We're a small channel, and we love everybody that subscribes to us, and we'll always answer your questions no matter how long the video is or how many people are commenting. So again, you said for Josh Allen, Olave, and Najee. So that's a great one because Josh Allen, again, like I said, is one of the best quarterbacks in this moment. Olave should come back and make a splash again. He's the number 1 wide receiver there, no doubt. Michael Thomas has been ruled out for the rest of the season, which is great for people who have Olave or who are trading for Olave. And And then he said that the next offer would be either Etienne or Najee. So you would say Etienne for Olave, Najee, and Odell Beckham. Now that one is a little risky. I think I would probably end up doing the Lamar and Etienne for Josh Allen, Olave, and Najee, just because Odell Beckham, he might get picked up, but we don't know where he's going to get picked up. We've heard rumors that he's been talking with the Giants. He's been talking with, again, the LA Rams, and he's been talking to some other high-end competitors like the Bills, who are probably not going to pick him up, or someone like the Bengals. So he's going to go to a playoff team who has a good record right now. So you might think that since he's going to a team with a good record, he's going to make a splash like he did last year with the Rams. But that probably won't be the case. So I think I'm going to go with the one where you get Josh Allen, Olave, and Najee. You said your other running backs are Chubb, Walker, and Swift. So Etienne being traded away is pretty good. Chubb is going to keep continuing his progress. Walker is going to keep continuing his progress. I don't know if you see it back here, but I am a Seahawks fan, so Walker will continue to get those touches. And Swift, he's going to be good when he comes back. Your wide receivers are Amon, Antonio. I'm pretty sure that's AJB. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you got Higgins as well. So you have a pretty stacked team. So I don't see you having any problems, especially if you're going to get Josh Allen, Olave, and Najee. Najee probably won't be in your starting lineup, but he is a guy who you could trade again later on in the season. Or if he picks up and the Steelers start playing good football, Najee might be someone to have as well, especially if Swift doesn't come back the same. But again, thank you for subbing, and I hope I answered your question the best I can. We got Big Money Joe over here. Welcome back to the channel, my friend. You said 12-man PPR, Gabe Davis or Joshua Palmer. Ooh, that's another guy that I really wanted to talk about because Joshua Palmer is going to be either the number 1 option or the number 2 option for the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Excuse me. Because right now, Carter is questionable and Williams and Allen are out. So that is a big time thing for the Chargers. Now, will their offense run the same? Here's the thing. They still have Austin Eckler and they still have Justin Herbert in their starting lineup. The Chargers are going to be just fine whether they have Williams or Allen. They've been running basically half the season without Keenan Allen. So they've been running pretty well. They're doing great in that division. I believe their record is 4-3 or 4-4, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, though. It could be a little bit worse, like 3-5. But Josh Palmer has played a few games, and he's made an impact when either Williams or Keenan Allen are playing. So without them in the starting lineup, I think I'm going to go Joshua Palmer here. We preached this on this channel that Gabe Davis, he is good, and he could pop off for 30 points, but he's not consistent. And the guy could go for a game that he only gets 4 points. So in my opinion, the safer bet here is Joshua Palmer. He's going to get receptions. He's going to get yards. He might not be a touchdown guy, but if Carter, their other wide receiver who could possibly play, if he is playing, definitely start Josh Palmer. He's going to be that number 2 guy. He's not going to be covered by the CB1s. But if he is covered by a CB1, you may want to play Gabe Davis. But in my opinion, I would go Josh Palmer all the way, whether he's wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. Now we have Swavy JP. Welcome to the channel, man. He says, looking to start a YouTube channel for fantasy as well. Any tips? Here's the thing, man. You got to start growing. If you haven't started the channel just yet, it will be a little bit slow in the beginning. We just hit 200 about, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're already at 270. So right now we're kind of popping off with this fantasy talk, but definitely know your stuff, do your research. AJ and Reed and I do our research behind the scenes all week long. We go live at least 2 times a week, but sometimes we're starting to do 3 or 4 now. And AJ and Reed are starting off their own channels, or not their own channels, but a stem off of this channel with Packer Talk and 49er Talk. But just know your stuff, you know. You got to do your research. You got to see what Ian Rappaport is reporting. You got to see every fantasy big dog out there who's been talking about it and what they're saying. You got to make your own decisions as well, because we've made decisions even before the season started, and we've made predictions that are pretty much coming true. Just to brag a little bit for myself, I said that Hurts with the Eagles was going to be an MVP caliber season, and he was going to win the MVP. That was my bold prediction back probably 8 months ago, before even football was a thought for some people. I just thought he was going to do great, and it's turning out pretty well. I've drafted him in 3 of my leagues, and I got AJ to draft him in one of his leagues where he's 8-0. So that's something to think about. But just be able to make bold predictions and make sure that you come in with some knowledge as well as your research done. But other than that, man, good luck. Make sure to add your link in one of our videos here so we can give you some tips. We will watch some of your videos because we do support small channels as well, and we want everybody to have the same success that we're having so far. And everybody just wants to make it big. Everybody wants to have fun. So that's what we preach here. We have fun here, but we are also serious about this channel. So we got Gamer Z. Welcome back, man. Haven't seen you in a while, but we got a question here. He says, Taysom Hill or Isaiah Likely? That's another guy I wanted to talk about because Isaiah Likely last week was the number 2 tight end. And that was because I have it here. Mark Andrews was injured, I believe, the last 2 quarters of the game. So Isaiah Likely only played 2 quarters, but he was the number 2 tight end last week. I believe he had somewhere around 6 catches and a touchdown. So he was doing phenomenally. If Mark Andrews does not play, Isaiah Likely is the guy to have. Taysom Hill is wishy-washy every week. Sometimes he gets 10 points, sometimes he gets 4 points. That one week where he played against the Seahawks where he got like 40 points, that was just one of those games where they utilized him a lot, but he's not really taking too many snaps. I believe 2 weeks ago, he only had 15 snaps and he had 4 or 5 points. That's something that is not pretty consistent. So if Isaiah Likely does play, I believe he is your guy. But let me get to the rest of your question here. It said Bateman is on an IR. DeMarcus has a groin injury and didn't practice today. Andrews didn't practice at all this week and now is doubtful. Oh, I didn't see that he was doubtful. I thought he was questionable, but I guess there was a progression this week that I haven't searched up. But I do have him on 2 fantasies, so I had to make sure that I had some backups. But I know they do play on Monday night, so the only guy that you would be able to switch in would be Isaiah Likely if he does not play, because he is going to be a game time decision. But yeah, I would go Isaiah Likely all the way. Reed preached about him early on in the season, and now he's going to make a factor for the Baltimore Ravens. Big Money Joe said, thanks, bro. Pew, pew. I haven't seen that in a while. Thanks, man. Thanks for being on the channel. I hope you stay on. Swavey says, as an Eagles fan, trade Hurts before we secure the number 1 seed and sit him for playoffs. Ooh, I would, honestly, because the Eagles have one of the easiest schedules. And not to say that y'all's schedule has been easy thus far, but you guys have won some tough games. But the back half is even easier. So I would say if you could swing this, it just depends on who you have on your team. Go ahead and get him. I think Hurts is going to be great, but that's just my biased opinion because I think he's going to be MVP. And I was looking at a projection. If he plays the same way he did in the first 8 weeks, he should have somewhere around 28 touchdowns passing. I think 13 touchdowns rushing, 700 yards rushing. So he's going to get more rushing yards and stuff like that. And he's going to have about 4,800 yards passing. So he's going to get some points if he keeps playing the same. Whether they lose any games or not, he's going to be at a high caliber level. So definitely, if you can get him, I would. It's either him, Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen, who you should get. Those guys are going to continue to play at elite level fantasy owners. So definitely get those guys. He says, and thanks, would love to send you our channel when we start, and go for it, man. Put it in the link whenever you guys start it. We'll go ahead and leave some comments on there, especially if y'all go live. Big Money Joe says, Swavey, I got Fields as plan B. Heck yeah, Fields is really good right now. I believe in the past 3 weeks, he's been averaging somewhere around 22 points. I believe his high right now is 27, almost 28. And his low within the past 4 weeks has only been about, 16 or 17, which is still pretty good for the quarterbacks that are playing fantasy this year. We have a lot of young starters and a lot of injuries. So if you can get also Fields as a plan B, Big Money Joe, you are correct because he has been doing phenomenally. Fields got Buffalo week 16 scared, but Detroit in week 17. Well, I mean, if you look at it like that, you're going to be actually in the playoffs. So that's a good thing to be thinking about. That's what I've been doing with all my players. I've been trying to trade away players who have stinky week 13s to week 16s and 17s, because when you want to be in the playoffs, you want to have the best team that you possibly can, because you're going up against the best. So definitely start looking at everybody: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defenses as well. Who has the better matchups going into the end of the season and going into playoffs? Because this is what, if you guys have NFL Red Zone, this is kind of like the witching hour, because it's the second half of the season and it's going to get into the last third of the fantasy season for us before we get into playoffs. So definitely be looking at all that stuff. It will make a difference. And just look at the stats and everything and how they've been playing against teams that are bad and teams that are good. If they're consistent with good teams and bad teams, you go ahead and keep them. Don't trade those guys away. But if you see a trend where they're not good against good defenses, definitely try to trade those guys away, especially after they have a good week. Try to trade them for a guy who has a decent schedule at the back half of the season, and see if you can swindle someone for someone who's going to be great in the last 5 weeks before playoffs. Ignatius Pennyfeather, good man, welcome back. He says Hurts might not play the last week of the season though, and this is true, especially if they aren't undefeated or something like that, or they go in with to the playoffs with a 14-2 or 14-3 type season. I see them sitting him, especially if they have that number one spot going into the playoffs. This is a very big thing, but this could happen with any team. I know right now the Eagles are the only team that's 8-0, but this could happen with the Chiefs. This could happen with the Bills. This can happen with the Miami Dolphins if they keep on winning. You know, some people are going to be sat and some people are not. But the way the season is looking, no team is a blowover team, and everybody is kind of even within the playoff picture. So right now, there are a lot of divisions where the number one is not solidified and the number four is not solidified in the playoff seeding. So number 5 and 6 are not, like, it's everything in the playoffs right now in the playoff picture is looking like it could change at any moment, because every team is either 3-4 or 3-5 if they haven't had their bye week. Everybody is 4-4, 4-3. You know, it's going to be crazy going into the end of the season, especially with the matchups that we have this week and next week, because after this bye week ends, everybody's playing again, and the NFL is just going to make a bunch of changes again. So he says, keep that in mind. This is true. Go ahead and keep that in mind. It says, should I start Justin Herbert or Justin Fields this week? He says, I don't like how Herbert is missing his top 2 targets. So this is something to definitely think about. And I love your picture. I love the name too, Chaka. That's so funny. Me and my dad always make fun of that movie. I believe it's called Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell, and it's hilarious. But other than that, I think I would start Justin Fields, because he's shown to whoever he's playing against, he's going to play phenomenally within this past 4 weeks. So I would say start that guy. Justin Herbert missing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, even though most of the time they don't make that big of an impact. Basically talking about Mike Williams when he's in. He's been passing to these guys for pretty much in the entirety of the season. And I think Carter and I think, what's his name? And Josh Palmer, they're going to be just fine. They won't be the same level as Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, because they aren't as big and they aren't as solidified in the NFL yet. But these guys are in the NFL. They're going to catch balls. And don't forget that Eckler is also a pass catching back. They're going to be just fine. Justin Herbert will get his points, and he might even run the ball a little bit more. He might utilize his tight end, which he hasn't been doing. Everett, he hasn't been doing that too often lately, but look for their production to move up too. So he does have the people to pass to. He's got four healthy options there. So I'm thinking Justin Herbert is going to be just fine, but I think Fields and his matchup this week would be a lot better for you. That's just my opinion, though. If you are scared about his target share because of those those no-named receivers like Carter and Palmer, go ahead and start Justin Fields because he is a safe bet. He has been getting 40 plus rushing yards for the past, I believe, like 5-6 weeks. So those are like 4 or 5 easy points for you there. But going on to the next one, he says Chargers play Atlanta, so it's a great matchup. And there you go. This is why we love our channel and our crowd that we gather here, because they answer questions for us in the comments. Chargers play Atlanta, and it's going to be a great matchup. Atlanta's defense is not good. But yeah, thank you, Ignatius, for answering that for me before I even got to it. This is why we love y'all. Y'all answer for us, and you help us out whenever we can. But Big Money Joe, again, he says, easiest schedule for the rest of the season is the Eagles. They never see Kansas City, Buffalo, Miami, or San Francisco, and that is a fact. So it's going to be a really easy schedule for them. This could possibly affect Jalen Hurts because maybe they run the ball a lot more. But as we saw this past week, no game is easy. They could play against the worst team in the NFL, and they're probably going to give a good fight. The Texans did this past week. I'm not saying that it was like a crunch time game where it went all the way to the end, but they definitely give them a fight. So don't sleep on any team. Don't sleep on any schedule, but just look at the trends. That's what I do. And I'm not 8-0 like AJ, but I do fairly well. And yeah. He also says week 16 versus Dallas, Hurts might want to put up points. And he just might, especially if you are in the playoffs that time. Hurts is a great guy to have. They are rivals for sure. And it's going to be a good game. But Ignatius says, yeah, good point. Most teams who clinch will probably sit their starters. It's just how it happens. A couple teams did it last year, but 2 years ago is when it was a real issue. I remember that because I was in the playoffs and I was really, really mad because I had a lot of very top tier players who were sad. And it just made it harder, but it was fun. We got Edward Zhang here. I think you're new to the channel, my guy. Welcome here. It's NSP Football Talk. Make sure to follow us everywhere. We have a Twitter, we have a Facebook at NSP Football Talk, and we have a TikTok, which is also NSP Football Talk. So give us a follow there. And, if you're feeling gracious today, give us a little hit on that subscribe button. It'll mean a lot. We are on our next journey to 300, where we will be giving away another signed helmet or signed jersey, and it is authentic. It does have the code so you can know that it's authentic. But once we hit 300 again, we'll announce it again. We just gave away our last helmet. I believe it was Shaq. No, I can't remember who it was. I can never remember now since I don't have it in my possession. But AJ did just give it away, and it was worth, we looked it up, it was worth about $80-something. So if you were a Colts fan, it was something to have. I think it was Shaq Leonard, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't even answer your question, my guy. Mostert versus Bears, DJ versus Bengals, or Boyd versus Panthers. Rank these guys full PPR. I'm not too sure how I feel about Mostert, especially since he is getting Wilson as his backmate there. Wilson could come in and be a factor, but we really never know just because the trade did just happen. But DJ Moore versus the Bengals do have some decent coverage sometimes. And Boyd versus the Panthers, that's just a rivalry right there because Boyd versus DJ Moore, who's going to do better? In my opinion, I think DJ Moore will do the best out of all these three, followed by Mostert and followed by Boyd, because Boyd has been kind of quiet ever since Jamar Chase went out with that hip injury. I know it's only been a week, but you look at the trends. When Boyd is either the number one or number two wide receiver, he is not the best. He is a guy who loves the slot. So unless the Bengals put him in the slot against the Panthers, who do have pretty decent cornerbacks, Boyd will not get the best PPR points for you. He might get 3 or 4 catches. We saw this last week. He only had 2 catches until the final end where he scored that trash time touchdown, but that helps some fantasy owners. But I think Boyd might have a little bit of trouble against the Panthers defense. But DJ Moore, he should be good. He is a wide receiver 1, and he's proved that for the past 3 years. It just depends on who's going to be helping him out. They will run the ball a lot, so DJ Moore should get a lot of touches since They don't pass the ball to anybody else, in my opinion. But I think that's why I think DJ Moore is the best option. But Mostert, that's an iffy one. How's it going, Reed?
What's up?
But yeah, I think Mostert versus the Bears is not bad, but it's not going to be easy because Wilson might play. So he might take some cut from his percentage. But let's go on to the next one. I got Ignatius Pennyfeather. He says, would you start Boyd or Jacoby PPR? I basically talked about Boyd right now. I think I would start Jacoby. I forgot who they are playing. If you can remind me, that'd be awesome. But I think Jacoby right now, he's been the better wide receiver out of both of those. And especially since Jamar Chase will continue to be out, I think Boyd and the Bengals might have a little bit of a problem. Here, go off, King. Thanks. What's up, Reed? Oh, you want to answer the last one?
Yes. So Boyd and the Bengals are playing the Panthers this week, and then the Patriots and Jacoby are playing the Colts this week.
Yeah, I think I would definitely go Jacoby, especially against the Colts defense. Hasn't played up to par like it was last year.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Ooh, XM Tucci. That's a long name, but we're going to call you Marco Tucci because that's at the end. You should be watching a lot of Reed stuff, so I'm going to let Reed go ahead and answer here for this one.
All right. Should I trade away Kamara, Mayers, Pittman to receive Dameon Pierce, Justin Jefferson, and Taysom Hill? I feel like Kamara is getting suspended soon. That depends on his court trial. Yes, that video did come out. Another video from TMZ. My running backs, AK, Mitson, Henderson, wide receivers, Pittman, Mayers, Olave, and Dotson. Okay, so I think you need to upgrade in wide receivers, in my opinion. So you're trading away Kamara, Mayers, and Pittman, and then Dameon Pierce, Justin. I like that. The only person I'm iffy about is Taysom Hill, just because I don't fully trust him week to week. I get it. You start him 1 week and he goes off 40 points, whatever, and you win your game. But on a week to week basis, I just don't trust it. In my opinion, never will. But I like this. I like this trade a lot. What do you think, Vince?
Yeah, man, I do like this trade too, but I am a non-believer of Taysom Hill, especially the way they've been using him. He does not get the snaps that you want, but he does get utilized when he is in the game. So that's a good thing. But I would say try to get another like mid-tier wide receiver in there. You're giving up Jacoby Myers and Pittman. Those guys are averaging 12 points and above. So you don't want to – I know you're getting Jefferson, who is one of the best in the game, but sometimes he has his bad games too, and Dameon Pierce does as well. He hasn't been that 20-point guy yet, and you're giving away Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara lately has been a 20-plus point guy for the past, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. So you're giving away a key piece there in your lineup. I would definitely say try to get another mid-tier wide receiver. I don't know who he has on his team, but yeah, switch out Taysom Hill for another wide receiver. Because you need some help there as well. You're going to need a flex.
All right, I like that. It says also full PPR. So, yeah, definitely need another wide receiver. All right, Big Money Joe. DJ Moore might go off because of the last-minute penalty lingering from last week. People were assaulting his character. Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, I do remember that last minute penalty. I was not watching the game, but I saw it on ESPN. They did talk about it. Yeah, DJ Moore is a wide receiver one, just like I said earlier in this video. He's a guy that's going to be giving you 15 plus points unless he goes up against the Bills or something like a top tier defense somewhere around there with great cornerbacks. But the Bengals are definitely not one of those teams. He should run all over them. So I would definitely start him for sure in any of my leagues.
For sure. I don't even know why people are assaulting his character. That wasn't even supposed to be a penalty. He was off the field when he took his helmet off. That should not have been a penalty. Panthers should have won that game. Assaulting is spelled as freaking spell check. Sorry, no worries, dude. We understand you here. How about it's the same deal. Replace Taysom with Jerry Jeudy. Yes, that is perfect. I think that solves all your problems. Taysom Hill, as we said, he may be a good start for a certain week if you know insider information about that game, but You just can't predict when he's going to go off, in my opinion. Never will, never will trust him, even though, gosh, he can get some good points some weeks.
Yeah, man, I would agree.
Yeah.
Jared Judy's the best guy you could get there, especially
Yeah.
if that's the only guy he has on his team. That's good enough.
All right, DJ and PJ match made in heaven.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It rolls off the tongue too, so it's great.
Yeah. All right. AJ Alvarado says he loves the podcast. We know you do, man. We know you do. We appreciate you. Taysom is the face of boomer bust. He really is, man. Like
Yep.
he could get you literally 0 points one week, but also he could get you 30 plus. It's boomer bust for real. Do not trust it unless you know some type of information that we don't. Do not trust it on a week to week basis.
Yeah, man, so true. But I guess since we have no more comments coming in right now, again, comment any questions that you have. We will answer this as quickly and as thoroughly as we can, just like we do every single week. It is a Q&A video, so we only have so much content to talk about. But it's football, man. We can talk about football all the time. So let me go through some of my notes here. Damian Harris is also questionable. So he might not play. And if he doesn't, that's great for people who own Ramondre Stevenson. I'm pretty sure he's owned in like 90-something% of leagues because those other percent of leagues is where people don't play. But Ramondre Stevenson is a top priority. He has been averaging 15 to 20 points lately, and he's going to continue to do that. It's going to be a pretty decent game for him if he is alone. But even if Damian Harris does play, he's going to do great as well. But going on, some stuff I want to talk tight end stuff because there's a lot of tight end stuff.
Ooh,
and I've already talked about Isaiah Likely for you, Reed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll get that a little bit more later on. But a guy I want to talk about is on the Buccaneers. His name is Cade Otton. And the only reason I'm talking about him right now is because he's going to be the only guy at tight end, basically, because he's the only guy that's actually gotten first-team snaps. That's because Brait is out. So he's going to get a lot of those passes that are thrown to the tight end position from Tom Brady. And what also is going to help him out is that Russell Gage is out as well. So Julio is probable there as well. So he's going to be the option number 3 for sure, whether or not Julio plays. But in my opinion, I think Cade Otton could have another one of those games where he gets about 15 points because he's going to get a touchdown most likely. But again, this is all determined on the way that Tom Brady plays. But I think Tom Brady might actually come back and have some decent games throughout the last part of this season. But yeah, Cade Otton is a guy to get. Another one is Foster Moreau. Darren Waller, again, is going to be questionable. It's looking like he might trend to be out because I don't think he's had too many limited practices this week. So Foster Moreau is another guy who comes in at the tight end position, and he always does very good. He's a guy who could probably start on a lot of other teams. And every time he went in last year and this past year, he's gotten pretty decent fantasy points, somewhere around the 8 to 12 range. But we'll see how he does. I'm not a fan of the Raiders and Derek Carr right now. That offense is just too sketchy. But if you do need the help, if you have Darren Waller in your lineup and you can't get anyone else like an Evan Ingram or a Cade Otton, go ahead and start Foster Moreau. He's going to fit in just nicely for those Raiders. But I want to bring back this one for you, Reed. Isaiah Likely he might play again, Mark Andrews is questionable. I've been looking into it a lot because I have Mark Andrews on 2 of my leagues. The other ones I have Zach Ertz. But what do you think about Isaiah Likely this week? We saw how he played last week. Give me your thoughts.
So Isaiah Likely, if Mark Andrews does not play, he's gonna go off, in my opinion. Isaiah Likely, huge talent. He's great. He's getting open. He has great hands. We saw it when Mark Andrews went down last week, what he can do. And I would love to see what they can do with him with a game plan for him. That game, Mark Andrews just went down, and he just stepped up. He just stepped up to the plate and was just great. And that's what we want to see out of these younger players that are backup players. So I think if Mark Andrews does not play, this is a must start for Isaiah Likely. Be paying attention tomorrow morning to see if he does or does not play. But if Mark Andrews does play, then probably do not start Isaiah Likely. I don't know his points per game off the top of my head with Mark Andrews. When he
Very
does
low.
play, it's basically nothing. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all depending on if Mark Andrews starts or not.
Let's see. We do got some comments here. So Big Money Joe says Rhino Ramondre. That's a good nickname because he is a bruiser in there, and he is pretty fast too. So, yeah, that's a perfect name. We got Michael Bernardo. I'm not too sure if this is your first time on the channel. If it is, welcome to the channel, man. We do have a Twitter, Facebook, and we have a TikTok at NSP Football Talk. So go ahead and give us a follow there. But since you're here right now watching us on YouTube, if you would feel very gracious, we would love for you to subscribe. We're going to give you the best fantasy advice, and we do talk about NFL news throughout the week. We're live 2 to 4 times a week, whether the fans want us or not. We are here. But your question says start 2 non-PPR. Juju, Lazard, Tyler Boyd, Rondell Moore, and Garrett Wilson. Wow, you have a good problem there, my friend. Well, I first want to talk about Juju because we do not really like Juju on this channel. Me, Reed, and AJ. AJ's not here, but I will speak for him that we do not like Juju. So that is a definite no for him as right there. But Lazard, I'd have him on 2 fantasies, and I like him. But I'll let Reed talk about him because he is questionable right now.
Yes, he is questionable right now. I'm not 100% to. You just gotta watch the tomorrow morning to see if he's healthy or not. He's gonna play. If he plays, then he's gonna get a touchdown, in my opinion, for sure. So that's a good start right there. But obviously, if he doesn't play, you should not start him. Moving on, Tyler Boyd, Rondell Moore, Garrett Wilson. Those are, I think, they're your more viable options this week. Unless Lazard starts, I would go. I think Garrett Wilson and Rondell Moore. What do you think, Vincent?
That's exactly who I was going to choose,
Okay.
man. We saw the way Tyler Boyd played last week, and I've talked about it a little bit on the show already before you got on, Reed. Tyler Boyd did not show out last week as the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, wherever he was lined up. It's just not a good matchup, in my opinion. They are playing the Panthers, and they do have some decent cornerbacks there, so it could be a tough night for the entire Bengals offense. We'll just see how Joe Mixon does. He might be the spark there, in my opinion. But yeah, Rondell Moore and Garrett Wilson are your starters for sure, unless Lazard plays. If Lazard plays, I think I might go Garrett Wilson and Lazard. I'm not too sure how Rondell Moore is going to do against the Seahawks. That might be a little bit biased, but our corners have been playing pretty decent. And I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the only guy to really deface that defense. But that's just my opinion. I would say Lazard and Garrett Wilson are my starters there. But if Lazard does not play, Rondell Moore is a good third option. Let's see. Big Money Joe has got Likely this week and Njoku on IR. Just released Dolchitz. Ooh, you released him. Wow. He's been playing pretty well. Who I played last week, but dropped him to pick up Fields. Oh, okay, that's fine. And to block my opponent. There you go. I did that this past week. My opponent had JT, and I saw that Deion Jackson was on the waiver wire, and I was like, oh, I'm not letting him get him at all. So I blocked as well. That's a good tactic. But he says you're also going to use him later in the season, week 17, if Hurts sits down. It's a good option there, my friend. Good stuff.
Great plays.
Wahab Ali. I'm not too sure this is your first time on the channel, but welcome, my friend. Go ahead and subscribe if you like some of the advice that we give here on Fantasy. He says, PPR, which 2 do I start between Gibson, Connor, and Deion Jackson? He says, I have 8 players out this week. I feel you, my guy. I think on one of my fantasies, I have my entire bench that is almost pretty much on a bye week. So in my opinion, Connor might play this week. And if he does play against the Seahawks, he's going to go off. So make sure you keep looking before they play because this game will be at 3:25 if there is any news before 12 o'clock, which is when Gibson and Deion Jackson are going to play, go ahead and start Connor. But your safe bets here are Gibson and Deion because, and I only say Gibson for sure, is because J.D. McKissick is considered out already. He was considered out on Friday, and Gibson is going to get more carries and more opportunities in that snap share. So it is a committee type offense over there in the running back position for Washington. But Gibson has been putting up some decent points even as the number 2 and number 3 running back. I believe the past 3 weeks he's averaged around 9 to 11 points. With his high being somewhere around 14 or 15.
I think it reached 17 1 week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's been a red zone target for the Commanders. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Definitely start Gibson. He's the hot hand in my opinion, and with Vincent saying McKissick being out, definitely even more. You should start him this week.
Yeah, man. And then Deion Jackson, what speaks for itself, he's going to be pretty much the only running back there that's healthy because JT is out. He averages around 15 to 20 points when JT is out. But now he has a backmate named Zach Moss, who they got in the trade from the Bills. But I don't see him being a big factor in the offense just yet. So yeah, Gibson and Deion Jackson for sure. LBR, welcome, man. Welcome. I don't think we've seen you here on the channel either. So if you are feeling gracious, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. It says, should I give DJ Moore for Curtis Samuel and Devontae Smith? Oof. Go ahead and comment what your lineup is as well as your bench, because it seems like you're trying to trade wide receiver for wide receiver. And right now, I think I like DJ more than any of those guys. Curtis Samuel is a rocky roller coaster, my friend, and Devontae Smith, he hasn't been doing that great lately. I think the past 2 out of 3 games, he's only scored single-digit points in fantasy, and that's because Hurts is throwing the ball to other people, and that's most likely Goddard and A.J. Brown. So I think DJ Moore has got to hang on here, but go ahead and comment your lineup and your bench so we can go ahead and further analyze whether that trade is worth it.
Yeah, I would agree with Vincent here.
Yeah, Big Money Joe says Gibson has been killing it with the receptions, and yeah, he has. Yep. I think, Reed, you have him on one of your leagues, correct?
I have him in one of our leagues. That is correct, and I've been a Gibson non-believer because he was just completely irrelevant there for a while, and I think 2 or 3 of the good weeks he's had recently, I've not started him and have regretted it. Thankfully, I've won those games, but I didn't get a score as high as I should. But Gibson has been playing very, very well. He is a out of the backfield target. He doesn't get that many rushing attempts, but he definitely is someone that can dunk off the ball to, and he can score in open space. So he's a great guy to have on your bench. Just flets in on certain weeks, in my opinion.
True, my friend. Well, until we get LBR's lineup, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some more of my notes here because we do have some other players who are going to play because of injury or because of trades. So I've already talked about James Conner a little bit. He is questionable, but he should play, in my opinion. He's already been questionable for 2 or 3 weeks, and I think this is the week where he actually comes back to play against the Seahawks. So he should make some noise, especially in the end zone. Last year, he was a touchdown machine. But also Claypool. I want to talk about Claypool. I know I was dogging on Reed saying the Packers should have got him, but he has been saying a lot that a second rounder is too much for him. And I would honestly very much agree. I think even a third rounder is too much for him, especially with the production that he has. But he does have the opportunity to be great. But we got Big Money Jost here. He says, we all thought Gibson was dead, and now the resurrection is real. B-Rob, pew, pew. Yeah, man. poor B-Rob. But, he's back and he's better. But, yeah, I like the way they're doing the little committee down there with their three-headed running backs. So that's pretty good. But, yeah, I think Claypool is a non-start this week, especially since his snap share is going to be capped because he's still learning the offense. It's nothing to do with anything like he's tired or he's fatigued, but he still has to learn an offense there. He doesn't know what Chicago does, and he doesn't know how Justin Fields likes his receivers. but I think LBR just posted his lineup. He says Pat Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, Jared Everett, Deion Jackson, Daniel Carlson, Patriots D. Says his bench is Kirk Cousins, Cordero Patterson. Good job, my friend. You held on for him. I believe he means Melvin Gordon here. Eno Benjamin as well. Keenan Allen, Debo, and Waller. Wow, that is a bench, and that is a
Wow.
lineup.
Wow.
I
Right.
honestly don't know why you're gonna trade, my friend. I like your lineup besides Tyler Boyd, of course, but once what's his name comes back,
Keenan
Tyler,
Allen
yeah,
when he comes back, Darren Waller when he's healthy,
Debo as well.
Debo, yeah.
Yeah, he's on a bye week right now, but I like your team, man. Debo definitely would go in there as a wide receiver 1 or 2, and DJ Moore would definitely be that wide receiver 2 there as well. Uh, And then, of course, this week, Deion Jackson's going to be your flex. No doubt about that. But Patterson should get healthy too, so he might go into your flex position. And Keenan Allen, once he comes back, I mean, he could be rotating in there for wide receiver 1 and 2 just based off matchup. So I think you have one of the best teams that I've seen in a while. So I would keep it. I would not trade anybody, especially not DJ Moore, because DJ Moore is going to be a guy who's going to get continuous receptions the rest of the season, no matter who they play. And he's proven that he's the guy right now. He's wide receiver 1. And he's either ready to get traded or he's just happy that Baker Mayfield's not their quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
Let's
I
see.
don't think that's a trade that helps you out too much.
Yeah. But AJ says, is Patterson a start guy this week? I'm in 2 of my leagues. I have him, but I'm forced to start him in 1 league because I'm hurting with these bye weeks this week. So I'm forced to start him. But if you don't need to start him, I would not. He is projected to get, I think, 8 or 9 points, but he still has that IR resignation on there, and he won't get that taken off until tomorrow. I believe that today is the last day that they can take it off, and they haven't yet. But he has been practicing, so I don't think that the IR on the fantasy app really matters. But if he does start tomorrow, I think he is a guy to start at flex and only flex, not at the running back 1 or running back 2. But I am very high on Patterson, Mr. Cordero. He was very good last year, and I think he can continue to be good in the second half of the season. But if they do not play him, then of course he's not a start. But if he is a start, he's just a low to mid-tier flex this week because they might not utilize him enough because of fatigue and all that, and he hasn't been playing too often. But yeah, I like Patterson, but not that much this week. Maybe next week for sure he'd be considered a for sure starter. But all right, Reed, I'm gonna let y'all read this one because I gotta drink some water.
Go ahead, man. Should I play Kirk Cousins over Lamar Jackson this week? Full point PPR. Scared of all the injuries on the Ravens, and then Kirk revenge game. Yes, Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are going to be playing in Washington with the poop pipes. He could potentially be a return game where he's going to put up a lot of points. But in my opinion, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. He's one of the best fantasy quarterbacks out there for a while because how special he is, no matter who's out there catching the ball, because of his rushing ability. I think definitely start Lamar Jackson over Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a safer bet maybe, but Lamar Jackson has that X factor to get you into the 20-point range, in my opinion.
I would agree, man. And I don't think that Mark Andrews being hurt or Rashad Bateman being hurt is such a bad thing because Isaiah Likely fit into that offense very great last week. And I think the Ravens actually potentially won that game because of Isaiah Likely. He did score that touchdown and he did put them up so they could win last week. So I don't think that DeMar Jackson's performance will decrease because of Rashad Bateman being out or because of Mark Andrews being out. He's done perfectly fine these past 2 weeks with Mark Andrews on injury and stuff like that. And I think that offense is going to be great. And we can't forget that Lamar Jackson is one of the best running quarterbacks. He hasn't done it too often because he hasn't had to. But if he needs to, he will, and he will be great at it. So I would say Lamar Jackson for sure. I agree with Reed on this one. Big Money Joe says Baker Mayfield is one of those QBs that turns a wide receiver one into a wide receiver 155. Pew pew, and
Jeez.
that is facts because I mean it's just played out like that. I feel bad for the guy. He was done dirty by the Browns organization, but I mean he hasn't played up to par in what he said he was with the Panthers. So I mean it's ultimately his fault that he's not the starting quarterback anymore, and PJ Walker is. So I agree with you there, Big Money Joe. Let's see. We got Kyle Nagel. Or sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but that's how I spell it there. He says, do I start Lazard or Jamal at flex this weekend? Ooh, that is a very interesting one. I'll let you take this one first, Reed, since those two teams are in your division.
Lazard is not 100% as far as playing this week. So you got to be iffy about that one. Jamal, which Jamal are we talking about? Sorry.
Jamal Williams, most
Jamal
likely.
Williams. Okay, Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams is the better start in my opinion. Lazard, if he does play, he could get you 10 plus points around that 13 range, in my opinion. But Jamal Williams can get you much, much more, in my opinion. So I think Jamal Williams is the better start here.
Yeah, man, especially with MCDC saying that
Yes.
DeAndre Swift is going to have capped amount of
Carries.
plays,
Yeah.
capped carries because he doesn't want to overutilize him and get him injured for long term, which is smart by him, but also it benefits Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams would be the star guy here, but I wouldn't sleep on Lazard either.
Don't.
I think, I think right now, honestly, it's a 50-50, especially if Lazard plays. But Jamal Williams is a safer bet here because he has been performing very well lately. So yeah, man.
Yep.
We got Bronson Howe. So he is a Saints fan, and oof, I wonder if he's watched one of our Saints videos where we said
don't bring it up, man.
But he says, "Do I trade Lazard and Sutton for Debo?" Ooh, I think that's a very interesting one. Reed, I know. Do you have Debo on one of your fantasies? Because I don't. I'm not too.
I had him, and then I traded him away because I was running back desperate,
Okay.
and kind of regretted the decision right now. But I think this could potentially be a good 2-for-1 in my opinion. Debo has that X factor to be getting 20 plus points per game. The thing that scares me though is that we don't know fully what he's going to look like in this new Christian McCaffrey offense that we have now with the 49ers. There's a lot of mouths to feed on, in my opinion, on that offense, and I just don't know what type of like carries and targets you will see. With the old 49ers, you knew they were going to use and abuse Debo because that was their X factor. But now that they have CMC, Debo doesn't need to go in the running back position as much. They don't need him to carry the ball. That's my worry with Debo going forward. Still a great fantasy player. I think I take this trade. Yes.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and put your lineup and your bench in the comments. We want to see who you have. We see you have another comment here, but I think that's a possible trade for sure, especially if you are good at wide receiver in that depth area. Because Debo would be a nice addition, in my opinion.
Yes.
But he says also, which of these tight ends do I trade? It's a 2 tight end league. Ooh, we love those. Or I would love to be in one because I love tight ends. But he says he has Higbee, Waller, Pitts, and Gesicki. And those are good 4 tight ends. But if you were to trade any of those guys, I think I would trade Pitts because he's coming off 2 pretty decent performances. And I see this comment down here. He says he wants to trade one of those tight ends to have DJ Moore. So in my opinion, I think Pitts gives you that best ability to do that because Waller has not been playing good this year and Gesicki has not been playing good this year. But Higbee has been playing amazing. And I think if you can keep that handcuffed on Higbee and have him in your starting lineup every single week, you're going to be getting a good production from him. But Waller should be getting a little bit more touches, and Gesicki has finally started to get a little bit more into that offensive scheme. So he could possibly pop off every now and then. But if you get DJ Moore, the loss at tight end there and putting him in your starting lineup at wide receiver or flex position, it's going to make up for anything you lose with Pitts especially since Pitts has not been solidified yet in that offense, and Cordell Patterson is coming back. So Pitts' production will fall a little bit with that. So I would say Pitts because he's been doing the greatest right now. You have the biggest opportunity to get DJ Moore. So that's my opinion. And I love tight end. So, but yeah, you got any input there, Rito?
No, I liked everything you said. Yeah.
Chill. Then Big Money Joe says Lamar for 100 plus yards this week. I definitely would love that because I'm projected to lose by 20 points in one of my leagues. So 100 yards would be amazing from Lamar Jackson. But yeah, man, that'd be awesome. KJ Frederick says, thank you. I need to play 2 out of 3 Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, and Tyler Boyd full point PPR. Oof, this is a toughie. Because I don't know how Tyler Boyd is going to play against the Panthers, but Gabe Davis could go off again. You never know, but he's just so inconsistent. Lately, he's been more consistent with getting 10 plus points or 30 points. But Christian Kirk also, I haven't been following him too much, but I know he's playing decently. I think I'm going to be risky here, Reed, and I'm going to say Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk. I don't know if I trust Tyler Boyd.
Okay. I'm going to go Christian Kirk and Tyler Boyd. Gabe Davis is going against the Jets this week. And I think they have a very good secondary that could that will allow points to Stephon Diggs, but then it's going to lock up more of a Gabe Davis type of character. And not let him get too many points, in my opinion. Christian Kirk, I think that's the definitely start here out of the 3. And then Tyler Boyd, I think he has a bounce back game. I know we didn't see much from him last week, but I don't think the Bengals crapped the bed twice. All right.
Oh yeah, pretty good. So yeah, definitely Christian Kirk, but it's a toss up. I'm still gonna go with Gabe Davis. I think he gets one of those big yardage plays here or there, but you never know. And maybe Tyler Boyd does end up proving me wrong and being that true wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 this week. But we got Bronson again. He says, "Oh, well, he already said that one. My bad." He says, so far I have Lamar in my lineup, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Deontay Foreman. Ooh, good 3 running backs there, my friend. He's got the Chiefs defense and Let's at kicker with Kyle Pitts at tight end. I think that's a pretty good lineup, my guy, especially at the running back position. So I think you'll be fine if you play either Gabe Davis or Tyler Boyd. You got some guys there who are going to get you a ton of points, especially if Aaron Jones and the Packers do the same thing they did last week. We're hoping in it because I also have Aaron Jones in one of my fantasies. But yeah, I think you're going to be just fine. It just depends on who you're going up against. But it should be a good week for you, especially you have not too many players on bye. Big Money Joe says, Josh Allen going to run? Oof, I don't know if he is, but we'll see. I think he's going to stick to his guns and just sling the ball a bunch of times. But we'll see what happens in that game. It's going to be a good one. The Jets have been playing very well lately, especially on defense. Big Money Joe also says, need that Josh Allen that ran through Wagner for a touchdown in week 1. Oh, geez. Yeah, that was funny. Poor Bobby. I love the guy, but he's now a Ram, so can't love him too much. Uh-oh. But yeah, that was a good little run there. Says, good evening, gents. Full PPR, sit 1, Juju, Boyd, or Josh Palmer. Ooh, I think I'm going to say sit Juju, my friend. I don't like Juju, even though he has had some good weeks of production sometimes. But I think Boyd and Josh Palmer are the safer bets here. What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, I don't like Juju also. We are a Juju hater podcast. But I just think there's too many mouths to feed over it. On the Chiefs, there's Travis Kelce eating up all the touchdowns. And leaves Juju MVS just a lot of yards, but not any touchdowns. I just don't trust Juju on a week-to-week basis, in my opinion. But I would definitely say you should potentially upgrade your wide receiver room, in my opinion. Go look for some trades.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably sitting one of those guys in the flex. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt saying he has better wide receivers. But hopefully you like that advice, Treyas. If you have not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. We'll give you fantasy advice every single week, and we give you updates on NFL news and everything like that. So we are a fun channel, and we do answer every question here, and we try to make it fun while we do it. So hopefully we answered your question good. We got Hudbolt 12 over here. It says full PPR, Hurst or Conklin. Oof, this is gonna be a hard one, but I haven't been following Conklin lately and my tight ends because he hasn't been one of those guys who's been on the waiver wire lately. But I think I'm gonna go Hurst here. I think Hurst is the better guy, but Conklin is probably a close second. So I think whichever one you play, it just depends on how they do week to week. But the Bills are good against tight ends, so I think Conklin takes the back seat here. So I think I'm gonna go Hurst for sure.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought the Bills weren't good against tight ends.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Huh. Oh, I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
But yeah, let me double check it right now.
I remember that I was like, hey, Tanyan's a good start in my opinion against the Bills last week, and he did put up some good points. I believe he put up 6 or 8 last week. But the Bills aren't the best. Since checking against tight ends, so I think Conklin is a good start in my opinion.
Yeah, hold on, my
no
Wi-Fi
worries.
is trashy right now.
No worries. I'm gonna go on to the next question.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the next question, and then we're gonna figure this out. Thoughts on Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney. I think he's gonna do really good this week. What do you think, Vince?
I'm not too sure, man. Like you said earlier, there is a lot of mouths to feed, but I definitely think they will get him integrated into that offense. Yeah. If he was on New York, though, I definitely would say that he was going to have some good stuff, but there's just too much out there. I don't know how good he's going to do. He might get like 4 or 5 points. He might even get some little end arounds here or there with the wide receiver giving him some running back play because he is able to do that. But yeah, I don't see him doing too well, especially with his first week, even though they said that they will integrate him into the offense. But I want to go back to this one. Conklin last week had a freaking amazing game. He had 25 points against the Patriots, but they were the 25th ranked against tight ends. But the Bills are ranked 11th, so you are correct, Reed. They're not one of the best. I believe earlier in the season they might have been. That's why I said something different. But yeah, I think I might go with Conklin. He had a great game last week, so they were utilizing him a lot. He had 10 targets, 6 catches for 79 yards, and 2 tutties. So I think he definitely does get into the end zone again this week, especially with Corey Davis out. That's a big wide receiver out for the Jets, so Conklin should be getting some good touches. So yeah, I am going to reroute my answer and say Conklin is the guy to go with this week. But he also says Chiefs are 12.5 favorites. Oh my jeez.
Putting money on that?
I would not put money on that. I'm not too sure.
That's a lot of points right there. That's a lot of points.
Yeah. So let's see. Trey S says, yeah, Diggs is my number 1. Thanks, guys, for sure, man. That's a good
Good. Glad to hear that.
Big Money Joe also confirms Conklin is the dude this week.
All right.
And then we got Mark here. Nice. He says PPR, Drake or Cordier. I'm pretty sure he's probably talking about AJ's place of work, right? Cordillera Ranch.
Maybe.
But he's talking about Cordell Patterson for sure. I think I'm going to go Kenyon Drake here, especially if Gus Edwards does not play. Make sure you really, really look at the injury updates because I know the Ravens do play on Monday, and the Falcons should be playing at 12, I believe, tomorrow on Sunday. So that one's going to be a sketchy one. Make sure you see if Cordell Patterson is playing. He will get production in there, but I don't know how much. Kenyon Drake is probably the best bet because even if Gus Edwards does play, I do still think that Kenyon Drake will get in there for a few drives because he has been very good when he's utilized. I think I'm going to go Drake here because I don't know if Cordell Patterson is going to be up to par this week. But I do like Cordell for sure the rest of the season.
100% agree with that. Just don't know what you're going to get out of him this week.
Yep. It's a risk. It's a risk you take when you had him on IR, but it was a good risk, in my opinion. Conklin has more upside. Yeah, for sure. And we got Blurpy back over here, man. We always love when Blurpy's here. He's got the greatest content for us in the world. But he says he just traded Gibson for Olave. And that is a good trade, my friend, because Olave is the guy there for the Saints. Michael Thomas is just considered out for the rest of the season. He says he's waiting for the cops to come to his house for this robbery.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
It seems like the cops should be always patrolling in your neighborhood, man, because you're always getting these steals of trades. And we love it. It's great content for us here. But I think Gibson is definitely a great running back, especially the way he's been playing and getting all those tutties and all those red zone carries and catches. He has been overperforming ever since he was knocked out by Brian Robinson for that running back one position. But Olave is insanely good. So I think that's a great trade. I think it might have been even an even trade, but yeah, it is a steal for sure, especially since you needed that. A bit big money. Joe says, my thoughts on Kadarius is that the Chiefs had a bye week, so it's more time for KDT to get acquainted to the offense, and all he needs is one big play, and he has the skills to do it. Still starting Palmer, but yeah, for sure. Kadarius Toney is gonna be a great guy there. He's going to help them out. I definitely see him getting that wide receiver 3 position, and I think MBS might be the guy to rotate in and out with him. I think that's the way they're going to utilize them a lot because they both have different talents, but they're going to mess around with it till the end of the season and see how they can utilize them in the playoffs, because I think the Kansas City Chiefs have a good opportunity to have another running for a Super Bowl run. But they have the talent, but it's just, can they utilize it at the right time with the right people? But Burpee also says Henry trade was awesome. And yeah, it was, my friend. He says Lockett, Terry, and Foreman for Henry. Oh my geez. What a steal. But yeah, this guy is insane. He is a robber of banks and fantasy owners because he's swindling and flipping people up and down and throwing them like Bill's Mafia on the white table because you're just disrespecting them right now. But that's an awesome trade, my friend. But I guess that's the only questions we have so far. But again, put your questions down below, whether you need fantasy advice or you just want to chill and talk with us, man. We love talking about old trades, your fantasy lineups, and who you're starting this week. It's just a fun time here on the channel every day. But some other stuff I want to talk about. We've been saying it here and there. Michael Thomas is out for the season. For those of y'all like me who never traded him because I thought he was going to come back, I was so wrong. I thought I was going to be able to use him at least 1 or 2 more weeks in the season before playoffs, but I cannot anymore. But some other good news for some of y'all fantasy owners is that Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson are cleared to start this week. That is very good for us Kupp owners. I think I own him in one of my leagues, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm looking for him to give me another 20-something points. But Van Jefferson is also a guy who could be on the radar for others. If he is on your a waiver wire list right now, I would say pick him up because he hasn't played this year, but what he did last year, especially even though Odell Beckham was there, he's been playing great. And I think from what I've seen at some of their practices, they said that Van Jefferson is ready to start. So he should be very integrated into that offense. Should be a good time. But let's see. We got Blurpy here.
Right here.
Oh, yeah, right there. I'm sorry. Go ahead and put it back.
All right.
He says, I had to retool my wide receivers after that trade, though. Oh, for sure, you know?
Yeah, you traded a lot away.
Yeah, he says, now I got Amon-Ra.
It's incredible, right? It's truly incredible how he's able to do this. Amon-Ra, D-Hop, Pittman, and Olave. Dude, you may have upgraded on your... He did upgrade on his he traded away his whole wide receiver stock and then was able to pull this back. That's incredible, man.
Dude, literally, he's looking like one of my lineups too. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I don't think I can show it, but I hate this app, man. Fantasy app is horrible. Oh, but the only guy I don't have on my fantasy is D-Hop, but I have Tyreek Hill. But on my bench, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Tyler Boyd. So it's kind of like that a little bit. I do have Pittman as well, but he's in my starting lineup because I'm having some wide receiver issues in bye weeks. But that's so funny. We both have Amon-Ra and Pittman and a top-tier wide receiver. But that's funny, man. I can't believe you made that trade and you just got away with having such an amazing team. I want to be in your league because I want to do that next year. But he says I traded Michael Thomas after week 2 for ETN. Jesus, I wish I was that smart to be able to see the future like you. But he says week before he got hurt. So yeah, that's amazing trade. You definitely have been playing everybody like a fiddle over there in your fantasy league.
This guy knows insider information. I'm calling it.
I'm pretty sure, dude. He's talking with Ian Rappaport on the daily because he knows what's going on and who's gonna get hurt. It might be because the NFL is orchestrated, right? We've heard a few things about that. But he also says my running backs are Cook, Kamara, Henry, and ETN. I'm like, jeez. I don't know how. That's insane, my guy. But definitely, you do have some trouble trying to sit anybody, but you definitely do not have a problem because all those guys go off on a week-to-week basis.
Gosh.
But yeah, man, that's also the end of our comments again. But we are an hour and 10 minutes in. It is getting to about 7:13. So if you have any last minute comments, go ahead and comment them down here. I do just want to talk about some stuff here. I have top 25 here. My list of players for fantasy at the running back, wide receiver, tight end position. But we got another comment here with Blurpy. He says, just my tight ends kind of suck. I got Waller, Hill, Ingram, and Likely. I do like Ingram. Ingram has been a consistent 10 to 13 points. But if, like I said, as we've been talking earlier, if Mark Andrews is injured, Isaiah Likely is the guy. He showed last week that when Mark Andrews is injured and not playing, he can be just the same, if not even better, because he's younger, quicker, and he's got great hands.
Yes, he does.
But he says, worst case scenario, I could do Hill or Likely on Monday night. That's so true. That's such a good thing. That's a good problem to have. You could either have Isaiah Likely or Hill. So I'm not against that. If you want to play Hill, I mean, you have probably the safest lineup to do it because all your guys are going to go for like 20 points. So you're going to be scoring like almost 200 without a tight end. So that's awesome, my guy. But yeah, I do have my top 25 here. I just want to talk about some of the guys who've been rising and falling. But Josh Jacobs has kind of fallen off a little bit. He did have a good game this past week, though, so that helped him. But Saquon, CMC, Derrick Henry, if you have those guys on your starting lineup, you are golden right now, especially with Deontay Foreman. Chuba Hubbard is hurt. I talked about it earlier. For those of you who weren't here, Deontay Foreman is one of those guys to start for sure. But other than that, I think we do have some more comments coming in. It says, should I pick up people? Oh, Donovan Peoples-Jones now off of waivers with Watson coming back soon and playoff schedule looking good. I do like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm not too sure how he did this past week, but I know the 2 weeks before that he was getting some good passes from Jacoby Brissett. So he's the guy that they have in their offense for sure. And I think that it's going to be great when Deshaun Watson comes back. I think they will take a dip in production because Deshaun Watson has not played in a long, long time. I think he's going up on like 2 years and something months. So that's kind of scary, but you don't know how he's going to do. But I do think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy to stash, especially since their playoff schedule is easier than other teams. So that's a guy to probably have. He could probably get you 10 to 15 points on a weekly basis when Deshaun Watson comes back, and if he's able to play pretty good at a high level. But Blurpy says he scored 201 last week with his kicker getting 0 points. Wow, man, I can sympathize with you because I scored 205 last week with Mark Andrews getting hurt, and he only got me 6 points. I felt bad for who I was going against, but I really don't remember who it was. But yeah, last week was a good week of fantasy football. He says he doesn't have CMC or Saquon in the starting lineup this week. Well, yeah, because they're on buys, I believe. But I think Saquon is playing, but that's fine. Yeah. I would love to have your problems, my guy.
It's incredible.
But yeah, and then just to go through some wide receivers here, if you have Justin Jefferson, you are going off insane in the membrane because he's been playing pretty well, even though he did have one of those rough weeks a few weeks ago. We said it earlier, Cooper Kupp is good to start. Stephon Diggs has been playing out of his mind as well. Tyreek Hill as well, especially with Jalen Waddle also complementing them. So if you have anybody from wide receiver or quarterback there from Miami, you're playing well. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys, and if you guys want some of this top 25 list on fantasy, shoot it down in the comments or comment it later on this video, and I'll go ahead and send it to you. Just drop your email. I do update it every week, and it is based on the past 3 weeks of production. So that's how my guys rise and fall in that production. And if someone else comes out of nowhere, I put them on the little 25 or 24 area and see if they do good or not. Just switch out those guys just like I do in my fantasy lineup. But yeah, so if you guys want that, go ahead and put it down in the comments with your email, and I will go ahead and shoot that to you as quickly as possible. But Blurpy says, do you think I could whip up a trade involving Pittman, Olave, and Kenyon Drake for a wide receiver? Would love to try to get Godwin.
I don't know if that's that much of an upgrade.
Yeah, it's really not. I think Olave would get the same amount of production as Godwin right now.
Yeah.
Pittman might not because, they're iffy there with the Colts and stuff like that. But Kenyon Drake, I think, is a guy to hang on to because Gus Edwards is not the healthiest right now. So he could get hurt again at any moment. And Kenyon Drake could be that number one running back going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But KJ Frederick says, which players are you guys trying to add to your rosters through trade? Honestly, right now, I was trying super hard to trade with AJ the past week. I don't exactly remember who I was trying to trade for, but I know it was a good.
You were trying to go for Barkley.
Yeah, I think I was trading him CMC and someone else for Barkley because I'm super high on Barkley right now. He's been playing amazingly. I think it was CMC and another guy for Barkley and another one of his receivers. But yeah, any of those top guys you can get right now, try to package some players and try to get some of the top guys because you're going into playoffs right now. You want to win. You want the best guys on your team. So anybody who's top 5, even top 10 in any of those areas, whether it be wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, or I don't know if I said running back yet, but just get whoever you can who's a top 5 and even top 10 just based on your lineups. If you are weak at running back, of course, you want to go after a top tier running back to help you even out your point system with wide receivers and running backs. But if you don't have a good tight end, that's okay. Tight ends only get you so much, and there's only about 3 or 4 tight ends in the league who are consistently getting above 15 points. And right now, I think it's even lower because tight end is really hurting. But something that AJ does, I know he's in the comments right now. He says, definitely. He says, brought to you by 904. I don't know who's at that is, but yeah. But in my opinion, I just think that wherever you can make a trade to get some of these top tier guys is good, but definitely do not sell your entire team to get someone like CMC. Play smart. Try to get like a 2-for-1 if you have 2 guys that are consistently decent, but you don't need them. Try to trade for someone who's better at the position that you need. But other than that, that's about some of the best advice we could give you without seeing your lineup or who you're trying to trade for. But Boyd or ASB, or Boyd for ASB. I'm not too sure who he means by ASB. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm pretty sure.
I'm guessing.
Shoot, yeah.
Yes.
If you can get someone to give you Amon-Ra St. Brown for Boyd, that's great. The only thing that Amon-Ra that I don't like, I tried to trade him away to AJ. I think that was the other guy I tried to trade him away. Is his schedule is really very tough in the last half of the season. So that's something that you got to watch out for. It could go bad for you, but it also could be good in some weeks when you need him. But don't sleep on Tyler Boyd either, because if you can't get this trade, you shouldn't be mad, because once Jamar Chase comes back, Tyler Boyd gets in back to that slot receiver position, and he's going to be great. So don't sleep on him. If you don't get it, that's totally fine. But if you can get him on Raw, he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver there, especially with TJ Hawkinson departing from that team.
Yeah.
Larry says, I'm trying to do Pittman and Drake. I mean, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe one.
Just don't trade Olave.
Yeah, don't trade Olave. He says, I don't need Drake too. Yeah, I mean, you don't need a lot of those guys. He says, brought to you by 904 are getting ASB. Then heck yeah. And I think that's why AJ was saying he's like definitely
yes.
100%.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. He's better, and Amon-Ra doesn't have a bye week, and Boyd is off next week. So this is true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you are trading for Amon-Ra to play next week, it's definitely something that you should do. But yeah, I think Amon-Ra is way better than Tyler Boyd for sure. Let's see. It says brought to you by 904, trying to get ASB. Oh, I mean, sprinkle Keelan Allen on top. Oh my geez. If you can get Keelan Allen with that, I don't know if that other guy should be playing fantasy.
Yeah.
But let's see. LBR is back. He says, hi again. Should I trade Cordero Patterson, Aaron Jones, and Josh Jacobs for Mixon, Godwin, and Najee Harris? No.
No, I don't like that trade.
You're not getting a fair trade there, man. You're sending way too many points for you to not get enough back. Najee Harris, like I said earlier in the video, might make an impact later on in the season if the Steelers get their offense good because Chase Claypool left. But Chris Godwin, he's doing great, but he's not the best. But if you do, I don't know if you need that on your team actually, because you sent your team earlier and it was pretty good at running back. So I don't know why you would trade away Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs. They are some good running backs. They are in my top 10 right now for the top 25 running backs within the last 3 weeks. Josh Jacobs did have a bad game, I believe, 2 weeks ago, but he bounced back. And Aaron Jones is just getting more and more usage finally. So that's someone to keep as well. If you would like to trade someone to get someone like Joe Mixon or Chris Godwin, I would say it'd be Cordero Patterson. If you are a Najee believer, you could do that as well. But I think Cordero Patterson's more valuable. So I think you keep on hanging on to those 3 guys at running back.
I agree.
Let's see. If you can do that, then you're going to get sent to jail. Yeah, age is correct. It says last week I traded Russell Wilson for CeeDee Lamb.
Who in your league traded for Russell Wilson?
I know. It's probably a Seahawks fan, but even I wouldn't do that.
Oh my gosh. And then he says no, have Boyd and Allen. So he's trying to get Amon St. Brown. And he might sprinkle Allen on top to get him. I don't think that's a fair trade if you give away both Boyd and Allen.
He says he's only doing it because I felt bad.
I think he felt bad about getting Lamb for Russell Wilson. That's what he felt bad about.
I mean, you never know. Russell Wilson might do good.
But back to that Boyd trade. Boyd for Amon St. Brown is good. That's good for you. Boyd and Allen for Amon St. Brown, I think that's bad for you. Allen should be back very soon, and he should be that wide receiver 1 again, especially because Williams just went down, didn't he? Or he's out this week.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely think Keenan Allen is going to be a great wide receiver going forward. I know he's been crapping the bed this first half of the season and probably been hurting your team, but I think he's going to be worth it in the end. Don't trade away Keenan Allen for Amon St. Brown.
Let's see. He says, I was thinking about trading Gabe Davis and Kyle Pitts for maybe Goddard. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we don't talk very highly about Gabe Davis a lot because he's inconsistent. But if you could get Kyle Pitts and someone who's less valuable to get Goddard, that would be amazing. But if you don't need Gabe Davis at all and you really just want Goddard, I'd say go ahead and trade it. But definitely don't be trading too much because Goddard is good, but he's not such a big bump off of Kyle Pitts. I believe it's like 8 to 7 points that you're getting there, which is good. But you definitely don't want to trade too much away. So if you need Gabe Davis, don't do this trade. But if you don't need him at all and you have top 4 wide receivers somewhere else or someone else to put in that flex at the running back position, you can go ahead and do this trade. I would give you a stamp of approval because your team is too good. But he says he has Mike Williams. Hopefully he comes back. Yeah, hopefully he does come back. Regis talked about him right now. He is out. But when he does play with Keenan Allen, he does very well. But when he plays by himself, it's not the same story. He has an on and off switch. So that one's a little iffy there at the wide receiver position. But he says, if I gave Melvin Gordon instead of Aaron Jones, would that be better? Let's see.
Yes. So it's back to this trade right here. So if he switched out Aaron Jones there and only give away Cordell Patterson, where was it? It's Melvin Gordon and Josh Jacobs. I think that's better.
Yeah, I still don't think you're winning that though.
Yeah, if anything, it's breaking even.
Yeah.
I still like Cordell Patterson and Josh Jacobs more than I like Joe Mixon and Najee Harris and Chris Godwin. We talked about him. Yes, Vincent, what did you got?
Here's what my thoughts are. If you can give away Cordero Patterson and Melvin Gordon to get Joe Mixon and Chris Godwin, you win that trade.
Yeah.
But if you have to add in Josh Jacobs to get someone like Najee Harris in that trade, I think you don't win that trade. Josh Jacobs is too valuable, especially since the Raiders are totally crapping the bed on offense this season. The only guy that has a spark there is Josh Jacobs. So I think he continues to be an amazing running back. 20 to 30 points average. But Cordero Patterson, we don't know what he's going to do. If you trade him away and he's total dog poop, you win that trade 10 times out of 10. But if you trade him away and he does good, you have Joe Mixon and Chris Godwin to show for it. And they're going to play good. So I would say Cordero Patterson and Melvin Gordon, see what you can get for that, my friend. That's probably your best trade there.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right, Philip here says benching Andrews, who to use, Likely or Taysom Hill. I would if you're benching Andrews, I'm guessing you're already assuming that he's going to be out. So in that case, then you should automatically start Likely. In my opinion, he's gonna put up the same amount of points that Andrews would have gotten if he was starting, in my opinion. So I like that. Definitely, in my opinion, I don't start Taysom Hill. But that's just me.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. Keep in mind that Isaiah Likely only played 2 quarters last time when he went in for Mark Andrews, and he got twice the amount of points that Mark Andrews got in those first 2 quarters. So keep that in mind. Isaiah Likely is a guy that Lamar Jackson really appreciates, and he's going to throw him the ball.
For sure.
Let's see. Next comments here. He says, heard. We hope you did. But we got Tyler Cassiatori. That's how I'm going to say your name because I think that's how it's pronounced. Hopefully, I said it pretty decently. But I do remember you from a couple weeks back. Hopefully, you have subscribed. If you haven't, we would really appreciate it. But he says he got Mixon and Lamar for Fournette and Amari Cooper. So Mixon and Lamar, oh, yeah, that's awesome. I think Fournette is really dying down. AJ thinks that I believe his name is Rachaad White. I'm not 100% sure on that. But White, one of their second string running backs, is a little bit taken over, but he's kind of died down. But Amari Cooper he's a decent wide receiver, but if you can get Mixon and Lamar for him and Fournette, I think you won this trade for sure. Lamar is a top 3 QB, and he will continue to be that, especially on Monday night. He might have a little bit of trouble, so he might be rushing the ball a little bit more. And Mixon, he's going to stay consistent, whether that Bengals offense is passing the ball on fire or not. Mixon will get his carries, and he averages around 4 to 5 yards per carry. So he's going to do great. I think you won that one for sure. And then Philip Adamski says, thank you for sure, man. If you're feeling generous, we do have a YouTube channel. We have Facebook. You can follow us there. We have Twitter, and we do have a TikTok if you're into that. Follow us there. We have some funny content, and we are live every single week on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So go ahead and tune in every Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and sometimes even Sunday. But we are live, and we do give fantasy advice, and we do give updates on the NFL, so it can help you. But yeah, thankful that you're here, man, and we hope that you like the channel. But I think it's time for a stopping point, Reed. I think we've done very well today.
I think so too. I started a little late. Thank you for carrying the first part of it.
Sure.
But yeah, man, I think we've got a lot of questions so far. And I just want to say, while there's still people in here, that we may potentially go live tomorrow. Is that confirmed, Vince?
I am good to go for tomorrow, right before our 12 o'clock slate, my friend.
Yes. So we are definitely going to be going live in the morning. So be paying attention to that. We'll give you those last minutes. Hey, is this person starting? Is this person not? How you should flex your schedule from there. But before we end, we're gonna answer Blurpy because we love him. Yeah, Godwin owner here saying no. Yeah, definitely don't do it. Any ideas for Pittman, Olave, and Drake for a wide receiver?
I think he's talking about a possible trade. Let me
Yes,
go
he
ahead and
is.
pull up my top 25 here.
Um,
Um,
so
let's
if you're
see.
giving away one of these guys, you got to get somebody big, in my opinion. Somebody's going to be putting up 15 points or more per week, at the very least. Vincent, what do you got?
Shoot, man. Right now, honestly, I think someone like a Debo Samuels who was injured last week, some people might be a little bit skeptical if he's going to come back and play good since CMC really took over there for the 49ers. Someone probably like Mike Evans or CeeDee Lamb, maybe even a Tyler Lockett. I know sometimes he can be inconsistent, but lately Geno Smith and him have been connecting more than Geno Smith and DK Metcalf have. I think it's just his route type ability. He is a fast little guy, and he can get into some places where DK cannot. But I mean, if you can get some of those guys, try like Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard is good, but don't trade all those guys away. Of course, you want to try Pittman and Drake to try to get some of these guys that are good. But some low tier guys that you would probably trade Pittman or Drake, swap 1-for-1 is like Jared Judy, maybe even a Trace Claypool if he does pop off this week. But other than that, if you even want to trade all of those guys for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, try to get like a Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, even though sometimes he is very inconsistent. But I don't think you can get anybody like Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, or Cooper Kupp. You just don't have enough there unless you want to trade some more of your stacked team to get them. But I think you already have a few of those guys. But yeah, maybe even Jamar Chase later on, once he comes back after injury. You might want to have him bench there just to have him because we know you're stacked. We know any type of trade you make is going to make a splash. So just do the biggest and brightest stuff that you've been doing so far because it's been working. I don't know what incentives you're adding into those trades that you're not telling us about because some people are trading bad stuff to you. But let's see. We got a new person right here. It says Penguin02YT. It says, should I start Connor, B-Rob, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Deion Jackson? I'm going to go ahead and guesstimate that you need 2 to start. Definitely if Connor is not playing, Benjamin is going to do great against the Seahawks. The last time he played against us, he had 13 to 15 fantasy points in PPR league. And definitely Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson is going to be that starter because JT is out. So definitely Deion Jackson. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire lately. He has had some decent production, but not enough for me because Kansas City is stacked. And then B-Rob is good as well. I'm not too sure on his production lately, but I know that he should be getting more snaps because J.D. McKissic is out. But I think right now, if Connor plays, for sure, start him. But if not, I would say, Benjamin because the Seahawks have been still giving up a lot of rushing yards, even though our passing defense has gotten a lot better. But yeah, I would say Deion Jackson and Eno Benjamin for sure. But if Connor plays, I'll definitely take Eno out and put Connor in. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I like that. I would definitely do Eno or Deion Jackson, in my opinion.
For sure.
All right.
Jacob.
Jacob says, sup, fellas. Thanks for the content. Hey, thank you for watching, man. We appreciate it. If you haven't already, drop a sub. We appreciate that even more. Michael McCall, my dad, says, hey, guys, thank you for watching, Dad. I appreciate it. Always my biggest supporter.
Heck yeah.
Jacob Anders says, need tube in PPR. Swift, Deion Jackson, Herbert, and C. Patterson. Thank you. Need to in PPR. Swift, he's MCDC, his head coach said, hey, I'm going to limit his snaps this week because he's not fully healthy. I definitely would not start him, in my opinion. So I knocked that one right off the board. Deion Jackson, Khalil Herbert, and C. Patterson. We've been talking about Patterson all week. Yes, he's going to play, but we are not confident in what his production is going to be. But I still think, in my opinion, I would start him over Deion Jackson, in my opinion. So I would go here, Herbert. Herbert's the definite start in this these 4 running backs. And then C. Patterson, I'll go with. Yeah.
Yeah, man, definitely Khalil Herbert. We've been preaching on him, and AJ's been preaching on him for a
So
long
much.
time.
Yeah.
So much. Like he's great. I know it says that he's gonna get like 4 or 5 fantasy points, but
Wrong.
if you look at his latest projections, like he's been over on all his projections, whether Montgomery is out or not. I know Montgomery is gonna play, but Khalil Herbert, when he goes in, he plays the best that team has ever seen in a long time. But Deion Jackson I like, but he does have a tough matchup. So I do respect Reed for putting Cordero Patterson in. Deion Jackson is going against the number 3 rushing defense in the New England Patriots. So Cordero Patterson has a much easier time. So I would agree maybe Herbert and Patterson for sure, but I do like Deion Jackson even though he has a tough matchup. So he's definitely a close third for me. But yeah,
Right.
hopefully that helps you, man. And we appreciate you coming back on the channel. But yeah, if you aren't subscribed already, we'd really appreciate it. And of course, we'll be on tomorrow again. So we'll have more updates on Cordero Patterson for you. So if you would like to get on, we should be on. What time around do you say, Reed? 10 o'clock?
9 or 10, I believe we're gonna get on. I don't think the time is definite yet. Just depends on our schedules.
Cool. But tomorrow we will be on before the 12 o'clock deadline,
100%.
Central Time. So make sure you add that into your account there. But other than that, man, I think we are gonna be good for today. We got to get our rest and shut eye for tomorrow, so we can have the best content for y'all. But we appreciate everybody that's been on. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow our TikTok too. We're at NSP Football Talk. So just find us there. We have some great content, and I know Reed is gonna make a very great video soon because he got $5
Yeah.
in your past video.
It's gonna come out probably Monday. We'll see.
Ooh, I cannot wait. It's going to be a banger, guys. Make sure you go ahead and like our content there. But other than that, we're on our road to 300 on YouTube. So try to get us to 300 subscribers. You have friends who really like fantasy football or just football in general or sports in general. I am wearing a Spurs hat, and I do talk about the Spurs occasionally here. And then Reed and AJ do have their personal side channels here. It is linked with NSP Football Talk, but they talk Packer Talk and Niner Talk greatly, and I love their content. They are getting so much better, and I laugh so much when I watch y'all stuff because your edits are super funny. But other than that, man, yeah, we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast here. But thank y'all for coming on, and go ahead and subscribe and follow us everywhere that you see down there. Other than that, AJ's not here, so I'm going to say it for him. Keep on grinding.